numerous complaints about the safety problems down there. So the county cannot, they cannot deny that. We got to take action. If it involves safety stuff, we got to deal with it. So that's part, the paramount reason for this happening. And this, even though we're talking the legal stuff now, we want to work with you guys. We want to make you guys establish a viable business, and that's why we put together this information sheet that'll help you guys. Look at it as an opportunity. So next, from the Department of Planning, Deputy Director Darren Arado.
Should be no vending activities within the road right-of-way, and should actually be occurring on private property. Understand also that private property is encumbered by land use regulations, either zoning or state land use law. So as you can see, a lot of the areas on both sides of the road is colored green, and that basically means in general it's designated for agricultural uses. So vending by and of itself is not a permitted use both by county and state land use laws. However, it doesn't mean it's outrightly prohibited. There is a permitting process. The only thing is that those permits does require a public hearing and may take about 90 days to get to that hearing. So it's not a very, very quick process. So if you decide to relocate out of the road right away to private property, it's always best to call our office and identify the property for us. We will look at all the type of regulations, land use regulations that apply to that property, and then we can identify the proper permitting path for all of you. So that's probably the best advice I can offer all of you at this time.
So next from Public Works, I have Kason Pacheco, who's a civil engineer. He's been kind of working up this project for us.
You need to come to our department for other permits regarding inside planning permits.
Can you speak up just a bit, please?
Yeah. So if for grubbing is when clearing trees. So down there not too much trees, so you probably won't need a grubbing permit. But if you do grubbing and it's more than an acre, you need a grubbing permit. Grading is
A little louder.
A little louder, please.
Grading permit is required when you do more than 100 cubic yards of excavation or fill. Also, vertical height excavation or fill of 5 feet or more. And whenever you're changing the drainage pattern of the property, you would need a grading permit. That's in our office, Public Works Engineering. If you decide to put a permanent structure or temporary structure in the private property, you would also need permits for that. We have a temporary structure permit that can be found on our website. Basically, if your structure is greater than 120 square feet, it requires a temporary permit, which can only be up for 180 days, your temporary structure. If it's a permanent structure, it's a little more involved. You have to go through required other permits from planning, public works, fire, and Department of Health. And you can also find that permit process on our website. There are different divisions within public works. You can click on engineering division for our permits.
Now, all that information's on that information sheet. So make sure you guys, having picked one up, get one on the way out. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, go ahead as far as what your guys' portion is with the plan.
So basically, our plan.
You want to pointer?
So the existing right-of-way is state highway, which is we control it now. So it's a lot wider than county right-of-way. So this one is about 80 feet wide, the right-of-way. And then our plan is to allow vehicles to travel up to the second gate and park near the second gate to alleviate the amount of traffic and congestion up near before the subdivision.
You can get the counties, they've got the record of how many vehicles parked there. You're gonna be sending them right past all of our subdivision down there now. Now you're sending them right by our house, through our driveway, every tourist, every night, 500 of them, sometimes 1,000. The second gate to the last one, what do you think, you're going by everybody get that much room? And are you gonna be able to accommodate really 500 cars and get them turned out there?
No.
Ain't gonna happen, boys.
They can have.
Put it right back where it was parked.
We've been down there a long time, and the reason the parking even way back in the day was where it's at, so we held everybody back there, and that's, we appreciated that. Now
We'll
you're
do
gonna
questions,
send
we'll do questions after, okay?
I'll write that one.
But we'll jot down you guys' concerns. So as you guys are gonna see, we've included a lot of the departments that have some kind of responsibility down there. So, Battalion Chief Bobby Pereira will address, fire's concerns for that area. Stuff like access and.
Good evening, everybody. I was told this is a vendor meeting, so I came prepared to share about tent permits or temporary structure permits. We will be following the building's lead on that with permits. Fire department doesn't require a permit until your tent is 700 square feet or greater. Okay, so if the building department requires a permit, then we will still review that process, but we're not requiring a permit until your tent is 700 square feet or greater. If your tent is 700 square feet or greater, the tent is required to be flame retardant or of non-combustible material. So there is some requirements there. If you're going to be putting up a large tent like that, then we can discuss those at that time. As far as access, obviously there's no vending on the roadways, so our fire department access should be adequate with the roadways when the roadways are clear. And so we're going to trust in our police department to enforce that the roadways are clear. If we are going down there for emergency and the roadways are not clear, then we would have to ensure that they get clear. As you guys know, if we're coming down there for emergency, we're going to do what we need to do to reach that emergency. Whether it's moving tents or equipment, we have that authority on that access road. So just an FYI.
Maurice Messina, he's deputy with Parks and Recreation. He'll kind of go over what their operation is and share what the plan is for them down there.
How you guys doing? So basically we work with JanGuard to provide security down there, the porta potties and things of like the security nature. If you've been down there for a little while, you've seen what JanGuard has basically become. They become parking guards, they become first aid people. They call whenever there's an incident or an emergency down there. Once the gate moves up, once the gate moves up to the second gate part, we plan to scale back our JanGuard activities a little bit, since we're no longer going to be concerned with as many vendors. We're going to be looking at that over the next couple of months with JanGuard to figure out what's our best scope of action there. But if you guys have questions about that afterwards, we'll be there for you for that. But that's basically the scope of Parks and Rec, is the JanGuard services, the porta potties, and things of that nature.
For vendors who want to or planning to sell food, the Department of Health will require a what we call a special events permit. It depends. The permit depends on what kind of foods you're going to be selling. So if it's we have a classification called non-potentially hazardous. So if it's like bottled water, potato chips, candy, no permit is necessary. If you planning on selling like hot dogs, sandwiches, then a permit would be necessary. So we would like to have the vendors fill out our application. Our inspectors will review the food items on the application, and we'll let you know whether or not a permit is necessary. So, And our information is on that.
The last speaker, Diana Lay, with Research and Development. She'll talk about different tax stuff and PUC.
Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Lay with the county, and we really want the existing businesses down there to be successful. We want them to be doing business where it's appropriate, and we want them in compliance with all of the different regulations. So I brought a little bit of material tonight, and if there's not enough and you want more information, you can come by our office. We're in the old county building downstairs on the Hamakua Makai side. So, but I brought a handbook on how to do business in, or how to start a business in Hawaii County. We also host the State Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs every first Thursday and third Thursday from 9:30 to 2:30. We have a representative come in our office, and she will assist you. It's a on a walk-in basis, but she'll basically assist you on how to register your business, what forms you need to complete for the general excise tax. If you have employees, what you need to do to be in compliance. She'll give you information about the Federal Revenue Service, Internal Revenue Service, and any other licensing that may be applicable to your business. So I urge you to come by. It's a real nice resource. It's available at no cost. And on that worksheet, there's some worksheets over there and the handout material on a general excise tax. If you're selling products in Hawaii County, you need to be paying your general excise tax. And there's a few instruction books over there. So I urge you to take advantage of that material, and again, stop by our office anytime if you would like additional information. Also, I wanted to cover the Public Utilities Commission requires a certificate and permits. If you are taking people in your vehicle, your business vehicle, and having them pay you to transport them. Even if it's at short distance along that roadway, anywhere along that, you need to be registered with the Public Utilities Commission, have a certificate and a permit. And they have an office in Hilo on Kinole Street. That information's on that fact sheet as well. So please, I want you, again, to be successful businesses in full compliance with all state, county, and federal laws.
That's as much speakers as we got. At this time, we'll be able to take any questions that you guys got.
That one.
We met, alternatives come forth, and it takes time. We're fortunate, nothing, as far as we know, has happened to anybody injury-wise and so forth.
You know there's been injuries down there.
Nothing that I look at reports, Jan Guard and so forth. Fire department reports, all I hear is about the bike crashes, injuries on the lava flow and stuff like that. I see your messages, you report accidents, I follow up on them, nothing.
Because
okay? So a year later, we're coming to this point, okay? We're coming in.
What will the parking capacity be of this new parking area?
We were working with a number of when it's peaked, of 250 cars.
And where will that be built, sir?
The Makai side of the road, from the second gate east.
Where's the funds coming from? Who's paying for that?
It's counties.
Taxpayer dollars, right?
Yes.
Correct. Because we have a nice appropriate parking spot, already paved and everything. There's nothing wrong with it. It's worked since 2009, way back before we put that road in.
We all agree.
It worked fine.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't understand the reasoning behind moving it out to the second gate and impacting all the residents that are down there. But by the way, you raise my taxes when you put the road in.
It doesn't work fine. It's in my right of way. I need to go in and out from my home.
We're gonna have 200.
You're in my way.
So, to address your question, the safety issue, the complaints from the community, the impacts, the bike, you guys got good business with your bikes, but yeah, there's injuries with those bikes as well. So we gotta move that out of there. That's why we're moving the
So
parking.
you like move the bikes out of there?
It's the safety. It's a combination of everything.
So, I guess it, like move all the bikes out of there.
I think you miss out moving everything out of there.
That's what the plan is. Everything's gonna move to the second gate.
I tell you what, there's everybody who parks or stations alongside the road, on the shoulder of the road, makes pedestrians walk on the road. That's the safety. They walking on the road because the shoulders are taken.
So the plan is, improve the Mackay side of the roadway. They can walk on the Malka side of shoulder. Like Lisa said, that roadway is made to state roadway standards. It's wider than any county roads.
Is that just before the second gate or just after the second gate?
Everything's gonna be before the second gate. Nothing's gonna go inside.
Why not open it all right in front of the other subdivision out there?
It's directly in front of the other subdivision out there.
Why not open the road all the way up to the national park gate? Why choose this particular spot?
Well,
in
the
all
national
of
park, because it impacts to them,
So that
they don't want us to go
that half
that
mile
close.
makes a difference? Because that's all that is, from the second gate to the national park, there's a half
Okay.
a mile.
So what do you carry in cars? Fire ants, pokies, all that stuff that invasive species that get into the national park. They don't want
So
to.
the national park aren't going to be carrying? I fail to see that.
It's less chance. Automobiles, bring it in.
That's all I wanted.
But what, so by that logic, you're saying that all of this virgin land that exists out here in between,
Is
where
subject to
everybody's parking
contamination.
now, it's all virgin lava land. So you're saying that it isn't important to the people of the county that be preserved by this car traffic? I mean, your logic only seems to apply to the national park and not to the rest of this prime, beautiful real estate, and that is just so beautiful and it shouldn't be.
I don't, I see what you're saying, but the vehicles just stay on that corridor. They're not going up into the forest within the county area.
So why not open it all the way up to the national park gate?
For the reason I just gave you.
Okay, so that reason doesn't apply to the rest of that stretch of land.
That's the national park system.
It's impacted already. You've got private property. Those people need access to their private property.
Yeah, but you're putting hundreds of cars now. You're putting that same traffic that you're worried about protecting in that last half a mile stretch. You are now impacting as far as coquis, invasive ohia problems, all of that. You're going to be dragging that down the road. You're not solving any problems. You're creating new problems. It's all virgin land. Those are all virgin ohia trees that are untouched by any rot or fungus. I just, like, your logic of this last half mile, it should also apply to the rest.
Why don't I help facilitate this conversation? Again, my name's Diane. What we're going to do is we're writing down your suggestions and your concerns and comments, and we'll try to address some of them today, but we can't answer all of them, possibly. We're going to do the best we can, okay? It's a trade-off. We've spent, the first question was, why did it take so long? We have spent months, meetings after meetings with state, with federal, and with county officials trying to figure out what might be the best trade-offs here, okay? And the bottom line is the law says you can't bend on the road, so that's the first thing, okay? And then we have safety concerns for not only the residents who are driving through there trying to get to their homes, but also our visitors, okay? And then we have the safety concerns that the police and fire have to respond. So we're trying to balance that. So what we're going to do is want to manage this meeting a little bit. Want to take your concerns. If you can write them down on the cards, that's great.
One last question.
And and we'll take one question at a time from somebody, and let's not get into a huge back and forth because we want to respect everybody's time. And then we'll be available. You can continue to ask additional questions afterwards, or we'll rotate around. and we're jotting down your concerns and comments. And, you know, we're going to, again, we'll go back and try to manage this. But we've got, you know, limited resources. We've got valuable resources. We've got people who want to make an honest living. And we also have visitors who want to see our great natural resources. So how do we find the balance that works for everybody?
We vote on it.
So, well, we can vote on it, yeah, that's an option. But who gets to vote, you know, and who gets to say?
All
So
the people.
anyway, we're trying to balance this. So let's take the next question here. Which one is the top one? Okay. Why were businesses and community members of the community not consulted in
Yes.
coming up with this plan?
Correct.
We actually did visit with some of the businesses along the way.
When you came out to do the assessment, your department came out and talked to a couple of us, this business, our business,
Yes.
a couple of the other ones.
Yes.
That was over a year ago.
And again, we've been going back and forth, looking at alternatives. What can the county do? What can the state do? What's a federal concern? So,
I think one of the things was that at the mayor's office, there were many, many concerns about that area. So when Harry Kim came in, he understood the impact about the community and trying to look at the vendors in this past 1 or 2 years, right? But then we started to get complaints from various people about, as Talmadge mentioned in the beginning, not only from this community that lives down there, it was about the safety. It started to come out about the safety, people walking on the road, people driving fast, some concerns about people hitting cars, but we couldn't find anything like that, you know. People getting injured on the lava, falling down. Our medical people, I mean our fire department had to go down there to, you know, attend the people that are getting injured. All of these things started to come to the mayor's office. So we're only talking about this particular administration. So when you have these concerns, then we have to address it and see how we can look for some type of resolution. And it came down to a point where it was the idea about what are the rules and regulations of vending. And it came down to about the road, right, county road. So that's why when we talked about earlier, that if you move into the private area, which some vendors did do that. They moved into the private area, they were able to get excise, that was one of the complaints too. Some people had excise tax license, some people did not. Complaints about food, right? So that's why the Department of Health is here. So when we have all these kind of concerns, the mayor's office has to address it. So it took a long time because we tried to battle how we wanted to keep this, basically this economy going in a sense in Kalapana, but there were other added complaints in regards to safety. So that's why all of the people here today was to address those kind of concerns. If there's no complaint or no concerns, like it's happening in some road or anything, we don't know anything about it. It will continue to go. But once there's concerns about safety, then the county needs to address the rules and regulations. And that's all we're trying to, that's the reason why we asked all the departments involved to come here today to give you the best information possible. The information for all of you to understand. It wasn't something that we're just going to say, okay, we're going to just cut it off. No, it wasn't like that. We met, we tried to look at ways of doing it, different ways of kind of letting the thing continue, but then it always came down to safety was one of the things. So I know some people getting hoo-hoo about it, you know, because some people live in that community down in Kalapana Gardens. But then all of a sudden it started coming to a point where some vendors were arguing with each other. You know what I mean? That was another complaint that came up within the last 3 months ago. People accusing some people of taking their signs and blocking the road and saying, okay, you gotta go here, you gotta go. So all of these kind of things started coming up. Whether it's true or not, there are still concerns and complaints. So when it's addressed in that manner, does it not the county has to take responsibility to look at the laws of the county to ensure that the safety of the people is utmost. We just had one person die there, remember?
Right.
But you know, that was an experienced person that did tours, right? From this particular community. To, you know, a couple people in there, that tour person died. Was that an awareness of safety? Yes. Was it heightened because of that? Yes.
But you're not going to solve that. By
No, we're not going
You're
to
not gonna
solve that.
by letting them tourists
Exactly.
go on their own.
Exactly. We're not trying to, we're not,
Please, please.
we're trying to address it.
Okay, but banter back and forth, please. If you have questions, that's what today's for, is for information, or if you have statements, that's fine too. But I'm going to go on to the next question that came up on a card. And Jason, you're going to need. What about road conditions? How often is the county going to come down and grade our road, and dust will be flying everywhere?
Yeah,
How do we address that?
that's a concern of ours too. So we're just going to assess and see how often we got to come down there. And then maybe with you guys help if you guys see potholes and excess potholes, you guys can call in. But maybe once a month we might have to be coming down there.
Okay.
Sir, that question was mine. If I could also add to that. As the 250 cars, say, is going right now, as the more of those vehicles keep going, county puts oil and stuff down in that road. That dust is flying, that oil and all this stuff across everybody's kids and all the residents, all of our plants out there for agro zoning, and it's just ruining our
My child
stuff.
has health problems, like lung breathing problems, and if there's dust flying everywhere, then, you know, we're gonna have to start wearing breathing masks all the time, and, you know, that's kind of unfair to us.
We got that.
Okay, we'll make sure that those concerns, we're going to address it with the Department of Public Works and the engineering department to kind of address that.
Have you seen the road in the beginning?
Yeah.
Just that little part after rain. Have you seen it?
Wipe that.
No, because you guys hardly down there. Mostly down there. You guys ever seen that? Imagine that road all the way out. Huh. You guys will have to come every week. Gonna get 400 cars. And then sad, the guys that live out there gonna have to drive on that
Okay,
road all the way
thank
home.
you. Okay, we understand the road conditions.
No, I like make sure you guys understand it, because,
Okay.
hey, you guys get on job because we pay our taxes, okay? So listen to us, just listen.
Listen, stop shutting us down, listen.
You know, like on card, we don't like write on card. We're gonna tell from our heart right out.
Right now.
We mean what we say, and we say what we mean. Just like what Billy said, Billy Kinoy. We like mean what we say right now. Because this is plenty guys, hey, 1 year ago, we don't have one problem.
Okay.
How come you guys never talk to us?
Okay.
We like Uncle Sacco go home safe. We like all have a job. No, we like talk.
Okay, excuse me, we want to try to get to the question.
They should
Otherwise,
tell
if this
Now all these guys do a
if
job.
this is not going to work,
It's
then
not
we're
gonna
gonna
work,
end up
I'm telling you.
Okay,
Okay,
please,
because-
yeah, we want to hear the questions and then, and concerns, but, and we'll give you a chance to speak again.
He doesn't have a question, he has a discussion.
Okay.
Can we have a discussion and not only questions?
All right, okay, can we do one point at a time?
You're only talking about questions, let's have a
Okay,
discussion.
Okay, so one question.
Is
or
it
one-
open for
or-
discussion, parliamentary procedure?
Okay, one discussion point at a time, okay? Because we want to be able to give everybody who wants to speak a chance. So does anybody else have a question or, thank you.
So your county maintained road is unsafe. When are you gonna make it safe? Spraying oil and the rainwater into the ocean is an environmental hazard.
July
That doesn't
1st.
fix the problem.
July 1st.
Potholes are about 2 feet.
The law will go in effect. And see if it does go in effect, because it is a law. Well, it took them a while.
Your plan sounds like more obstacles than help.
As soon as the comments come in, you know, like Jan Gard or whoever, I think they've been down there pretty fast, once we know there's an issue. I know we've been having plenty of rain, and that kind of makes stuff.
Sure, you plan to rain out this year.
So,
Asking me plan.
All right. Is it possible for the community to vote on this?
Vote on what?
I guess the plan?
The whole thing.
Are we voting on the plan or are we voting on the law?
Okay.
Good point.
Okay.
The law we cannot vote on.
No,
Remember
but
that.
you can change it if you really pursue
It
that.
takes time.
Yes, takes time.
Mine's been trying
Very good.
You could probably change the law back.
But it is the law.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take the position that I don't know that the community is ready to vote on anything yet because we haven't heard all the voices. So, let's move forward and see what other people have to say, share, or have questions about.
You cannot vote. It's a law.
Okay, well, yes, the county is going to enforce moving vendors off of the roadway. That is the law now, and then we are moving forward with that.
You can't vote on it, so there's the answer to the question.
I would, yes. Okay. If there's other components of where the parking is and things like that, those are up for further discussion. Anybody else have cards or questions? Oh,
So this is from
okay.
Floyd Kiano. My Ohana and I have property in Kapa'ahu before David Ford. We are willing to donate our property. So, can you clarify?
I will.
For the vendors to come?
For vendors, latrine, or whatever have you, we are willing to donate the property.
We will pay the liability insurance.
I will put up a sign that I want to be responsible for any injury or whatever on that
It
property.
still comes down to the law. It requires
whatever's law
insurance.
I will donate the place.
I hope they will pay for the liability insurance. Not like Kikala, we gotta pay for our own.
Can we, excuse me, if we charge for parking?
You could have made so much money from here.
Ole. The county has explored parking.
What is the drawback? Why don't you want to do it?
That means handicap ramps, all kinds of stuff.
Okay, the question
All your
is,
permits.
paid parking
All in their
as revenue for the county to better manage the area.
Well, we gotta look at that alternative. Another thing that we can look at is that we might have to look at the condition of the road. If there's, like you said, in only that short area, there's a lot of holes, and it goes farther down to the second gate, and it continues to do that. The county definitely needs to look at that particular road, and we need to assess if it becomes a safety issue.
David.
We're gonna have to make sure that we address it and try to improve that road. Because it cannot be in a condition like you're saying, like you're saying, because it's not gonna be safe. Talking over with Department of Public Works. We might even have to look at an opportunity to look at maybe a shuttle service. A shuttle service that is regulated, out for bid, to be able to get that opportunity. That's what we're providing as well. So all of these things are up in the air in a sense of trying to look at alternatives. I'm just giving you alternatives. Repair the road, look at maybe that situation and talk to a lot of people in regards to plan to do something like that.
I like to speak for a moment. That's what we're providing down there. If you follow your permits, PUC these vehicles, do the things, then we're already providing that. What you do by moving that down to the end of the road is you've shut down a whole bunch of businesses. I don't even have a bike tour, but I've been down there since 1986. Okay? Lived down there before the first flow came across our land. So here's the deal. When you move it all up there, now you impact everybody out there. That was supposed to, by the way, be an evacuation route. That's all my taxpayer dollars went for. It was not to be a county viewing road, just so you know. Second of all, That whole area down there, now that my taxes went up, I think we provide a hell of a service. We're also boosting your economy by a lot. Because now people are renting, paying for hotels, getting B&Bs. I pay we are licensed. My company is fully licensed, bonded, and insured. I just paid my taxes, buddy, and it was a lot. Because I provide a service down there. But when you move that out there, now you're sending hundreds of tourists out across the lava flow, who, by the way, I hike a bunch of them back every night after I bandaged them up with my professional company. These guys too, tons of us professional hikers have been doing this before you put the road in, by the way. So, all I'm saying to you is when you move that down there, we create a whole bunch of more circumstances by dust, all kind of conditions of roads, all that stuff. I say we stay where we're at, and we put in a shuttle service and let us companies work again.
And pave the road.
Okay. And probably to address most of this, and anybody else has. Can permits be on residential lots also, or only agricultural lands?
Good question.
If it's for commercial activity, you probably have to change the actual zoning of the land in order to accommodate it. And it depends on where that residential property is located. It may not be in the area where we that can support like commercial type of activity. So without knowing the specific location, it's hard for me to pass judgment. But I think it's a much more difficult and lengthy process to change the zoning of the land rather than trying to pursue it on ag.
What are the areas? Can you kind of outline the areas a little bit?
It's
all agriculture.
No, it's not even shown here, I think. It's actually way back.
Hold on, I think he's trying to pull that up. You got a pointer there? I'm trying to pull up the map so you can see.
So while they're dealing with that, how many porta potties will be at the second gate in the new parking area? So, yeah, so it's pretty much between what Parks and Recreation comes up with their contract.
And trash cans.
Yeah, trash cans.
So it sounds like you guys are saying it needs more.
You guys
You don't have any trash cans.
Yeah, there are no trash.
No trash. You guys are throwing all your
There's no trash cans, Mo?
Each vendor has their own.
Yeah. Let's hear from Parks and Recreation.
So, those of you who are down there understand that the trash, pull the trash cans out. So that's why.
I don't do that. I think
Yes, no?
Hey, since you're on the zoning thing, can I ask an important
Yes.
zoning question?
Yes, zoning question for Darren.
Zone that it's all agriculture and all that stuff, right? But he mentioned earlier that they'll be coming out and people for your lands, the homes need to be permitted if it's not under 100 so much feet or and then if it is under, you're only supposed to be there 90 days, right? Does that mean that people are going to be coming out
Can we hold the
to
side
inspect all of the
conversations
community of Kalapana Gardens and all of our other communities out there to see, because ain't none of us permit or any of that, where we can't get any of that, being on Lava Zone 1.
right?
So now, do we risk not losing our jobs, but our homes too?
I might have built my home to code, but I still can't get a permit for my home because of where I'm located. I have tried.
We can't get insurance, we can't
Okay,
get code.
so the question is, can I get a building permit for my house in Lava Zone 1? Wait, let's let Darren answer that question from planning department's perspective.
Yeah, there's pretty much there's not like a moratorium on construction. Whether you can or cannot build in Lava Zone 1 is not so much an issue on building or land use, I think. It may be more on you might not be able to get the proper type of insurance. And if you can't get insurance, then you probably can't get a mortgage.
You can't get anything.
So it's kind of, yeah.
So does that mean for all of us who are out there now, will we have people coming out to inspect us and find out if we have all of our paperwork in order, and if not?
The county's not going to go out and inspect you. I mean,
That's not part of the
Just
plan.
checking.
Yeah, we're just going to check.
All right, so are you ready to go with that question about lots versus residential lots?
Yeah, so basically, Garden Sincere, Kalapana here, this back to Pahoa. The area basically, this is the general plan which identifies the long-range vision for land use in the area. There's really no area along the Kalapana area that's really designated for commercial uses. There was at one point, I recall years ago, you know where Uncle Roberts is, so basically there are some commercial zone lands now. It was zoned many, many years ago, but I think when the lava came through, when we updated this long-range master plan, we couldn't in good conscience continue to encourage higher density uses in an area that was recently inundated by a lava flow. So I think that designation went away. Whatever commercial zoning is already on the land can remain. It's like grandfathered, but we're not anticipating on increasing density. So I would hazard to guess that the nearest commercially designated area is probably back in Pahoa.
All these permits and laws and all these things, and I'm for the law. This is a lava zone, so we could invest all of our money in permits and all of these things and buildings and all of this stuff, but it can be taken by lava at any time. So we have to put up more temporary kind of structures. Who's going to build a big structure and, you know, what are you willing to forfeit if the lava comes once again?
And you can't get it
And you can't get it insured.
You live in a lava zone. Come on. Get your realization. You live in a lava zone. Anything can happen with the lava. Okay? So why are you living there if you know there's a risk?
So not living there, but doing business there.
You guys said you guys was down there from 1986. I have generations down there. Kaimu, all the way to Kapa'au. My family is the last family in Kupahua, and we still live there, okay? All I ask is a little bit respect and some right of way.
Structure, things like that. Again, you know, building department is a place to start with that process. You can check in with fire department, all of those contact information, both phone numbers, where the building is located to go to, as well as email, or not email, but a website which has an email contact. So you can get all that information if you're looking at a temporary structure.
Assuming somebody can come up as if you're not encouraging commercial rezoning in the area. If somebody comes up with the proper stuff, are you going to give them commercial zoning?
And how long would it take?
It didn't sound like it was actually going to happen.
When I mentioned that the commercial node that we're looking for is probably back in Pahoa, is because we're looking for an area that can sustain commercial activities for decades to come, right? But that is somewhat the beauty of the special permit on ag land, because what the state law basically says is this area should be used for ag, but they really don't know what kind of needs the community may have that was never anticipated when the designations were established. So they came up with this stopgap measure called the special permit. It has to go to a hearing before the planning commission and they make the final decision. But that's the beauty of the permit. It can recognize things as unique and reasonable type of uses, opportunities. They can consider the situation out in Kalapana. You understand that when we zone land, it's forever, for the most part. But special permit can be temporary, so it can recognize the certain temporary needs of the Kalapana area, and they can build it into the permit system. And that way, at least with the proper mitigating measures in place, the county and the state doesn't have to provide the things that normally supports a full-blown commercial area like wastewater systems, full-blown roads with curb gutter sidewalks, electricity, and everything else. The special permit process can assess things on a parcel by parcel basis and basically determine, is this reasonable, is it good enough? So I'm just saying it's also an opportunity.
So this includes bed and breakfast then, I take it?
I'm sorry?
This also includes bed and breakfast, I take it?
Bed and breakfast is required a special permit in order to allow itself to be established on agricultural land.
Approximately how long does a special
Yeah, how
use
long
permit?
does it take
Oh,
on
I'm sorry.
average?
At the county level, from the time you submit a complete application, we can bring it to hearing in about, so I wasn't swinging at you by the fly. We can bring it to hearing in about 90 days.
Wow.
Either shut
All right,
down all
thank
of
you.
them, all the
Thomas
Airbnb,
has a
everything.
question.
Yeah, this is relating to the increased dust due to the traffic. Basically asking,
Are we talking about the road or are we talking about individual houses with permits? Not this meeting was for the road.
basically, did we go out and get a EA, environmental assessment, for this plan? No one wasn't, we didn't go get one, the road's there already.
Okay. I have another question here on the card. Says, what is the acreage of the new vending area? That's really up to the vendors. What the county's going to do is we're going to start enforcing, telling the vendors they've got to get off the roadway and the shoulder of the roadway, okay? Come July 1st, the vendors need to be off of that roadway, okay? Completely off that roadway. So if you're a vendor, you either need to work with neighboring property owners, you need to look, for a site. You need to start working on your permits to make sure you're legal, obviously. You could maybe consider a site here in Pahoa Town. There are I'm going to give you an example. Kealakekua Bay. There's a lot of kayakers. You drive along that highway, you'll see shops with their big signs. There's legal size signs, but they're vending their kayaks. They put the little racks on the roof or on the tail end of the car and put those racks on, and they pop those kayaks on, and people drive and they give them a map, just tell where to go, and they go down. There's no reason that can't happen from Pahoa. You've got great business opportunities up here. You've got infrastructure, so consider that. And again, you can consider doing it on private property in the Kalapana region. So work with your neighbors if you don't own property. See what your options are. Partner up with businesses. That's an opportunity as well. The other question on this card was, what is the acreage of the new parking area? Maybe how many cars it projected to be able to park?
The parking area, we're looking to be about 18 feet wide by 2,000 feet long, but parking won't be allowed from the driveway. You cannot park in people's driveways. You're going to have access to
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. How many cars we park?
So basically, the parking area will be about 2,000 feet long, 18 feet wide, and along the Mackay side of the road.
How many cars? How much cars?
How many cars?
500 tonight, Okay, so the question is, what happens?
There's no parking anytime.
Yeah. Officer,
Parking is all full. If you folks get your proper permits and you have a parking area over there, that's a way to make money. But essentially, what we're saying is there's no parking other than that one shoulder of the side of the road. The cars are going to be going back and forth when they can't get parking.
How is 250 parking going to even handle for 2 days, 6,000 visitors?
All right.
And then the residents there.
Okay.
It goes on till 2:30 in the morning sometimes. So I have a child and I live out there.
So how is that fair? Just the residents alone, have nothing to do with the vendors, okay? Just the people who live there, how is that fair?
So we need to make some look at some contingency plans. Thank you for sharing that.
I live right there, and that's gonna suck. And I am Hawaiian, and that's important. So, that's gotta be figured out. You know, because it's us that live there that's getting hurt. It's not the people that come to visit. It's us that's gotta be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's the people you gotta think about. That's the people that's malamaling the land out there. Not these visitors. Not the ones that come one day for 6 hours. It's the ones that are there all the time. And those are the ones you guys gotta consider. Those are the ones that you gotta think about first. Because we are the foundation. We are the people.
I'm actually one resident of gate number 2 with JC and Carrie. So your parking out there really is gonna affect us with dust.
6 of us.
And a lot of people, we already wake up 2 o'clock in the morning, getting with cars, getting off the mountain going, Chee-hoo! We get it back to our cars, and then you wanna put 250 cars in front of our houses, and then we gotta do it, not you, us. We gotta do it. These tourists coming up the mountain at 2 o'clock in the morning going, Chee-hoo! We made it back to our car, you guys, and starting up their car. And not mentioning, not paying now. Now we get all these rocks flying, go ding, 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 waking us all up. We're making a dollar out there because we gotta deal with it 24/7, 365. You know what I mean? You guys are here calling shots. You guys are haves. We are have-nots. When you guys take away the parking up there, we become have-nots again. We right now are haves. We have jobs. We have money coming in for our pocket. When you guys doing this to us, what is your solution instead of moving the parking lot up front, making more drama for us? Why not make a parking lot where people are not coming down the dusty road, and like you said, we get shuttle services. Why not make one designated parking outside where, like Uncle Sopway, he like drive in peace. Why people gotta come down this road? You guys can make one parking lot, and we can tend to it as a community. So why you guys want to take money out of our That's all I gotta say. You guys is causing a lot because we gotta deal with it out there. Not you guys. You guys like to make shots, we gotta deal with it. That's all I gotta say.
All that does is going to be multiplied by 20 times or whatever. It's going in our catchment, we're drinking it, we're breathing it, we got dogs, I got some fish out there, I have plain plants that I can eat, and all that's going to be clogged up with all this stuff.
Okay, we got you. We know that.
Is there any way to request a community impact study on what this is going to do to the community?
And environment.
Yep. I'm not aware of any community study.
With the community and they had testimony on his paper. How can we put this on hold?
Okay, so.
Numbers, what, give us some answers.
So two things. One is, and they've been put on notice for some time now, okay? They need to be moving off the roadway. That's the law, okay? We're going to enforce that. The movement of this gate or to not move it, or the parking area, we'll have further discussions about that. Willow Covey, our managing director, said we'll have further conversations about it.
And
So
will
we're
the
getting good
community
impact.
include-
We're getting good impact. Our input tonight, you know, your community input is being provided. Okay, so.
Can the community be part of the discussion and not just an input?
Should have been in
Can we sit at the table
Yeah.
at the discussion?
Yeah.
I mean, we paid your guys'
Well,
salary. Why can't we be part of the conversation?
Okay, you know, it needs to be manageable. Who wants to be at the table, what time, and, you know, again, you know, I think, you know, if you continue to raise your concerns, there, you know, feel free to, you know, come up to us tonight. If you didn't sign in, please do, and you can indicate that you'd like more information or you'd like to be further engaged, okay? Yes.
I've got a great idea.
Okay.
Put the pedestrians on the side. That is the way it's supposed to work.
Build a bike lane.
Make a line down the road. Now, make an easement for the pedestrians, make an easement for the bicycle, make a bicycle path. something like that.
You need to move
Well,
the parking.
the vendors have to go off the
To
side.
do that, you need to move the outhouses.
Okay.
Like
Like I said, I am willing to donate my property.
I agree with you,
I mean, that's the law.
but we need to move.
I'll go up to speak and then we'll.
I am willing to donate my property
Oh.
if you allow me to charge this tourist or whoever parking there to get some money. I will gladly fix the road that there with what money I generate off the property.
Right on. Yeah.
Well, couple months ago, and we knew we had a problem about this, and we knew that we had a problem with the parking. You know, I respect Uncle Sapo going home every time I talk to him, but we had a suggestion to you guys, and I remember Talmadge was out there, Maurice. We have a parking lot on the outside, and then just juggle them all the way into Uncle Floyd's place. So nobody on the road. And Uncle Floyd's place, so at least the people don't have to, all the tourists don't have to screw up the road for the residents. And then we can take a shuttle from our property on the outside, take them to Uncle Floyd's place where he would have vendors over there, all the vendors can get. We had that discussion. I don't know why you didn't never think that was the best, that's the best idea. I mean, nobody could bust up the road. 400 cars not gonna go inside the house.
The residents of Kalapana Gardens will bust up the road. They think they live in a mainland. They drive on dirt road here, not paved road.
Okay, we take a couple more questions.
Okay, so it's up to the mayor's office and the department whether or not this road gets improved. What is your position on improving the road?
Yes. Biggest question of all.
That's our councilwoman.
Define improve.
Cost. Brian, do you know what those numbers were?
Charge the tourists $5 for everybody to go down and pay for it that way.
I'll share that we did as again, we've had over multiple months, multiple meetings, and we did explore the opportunity to put up a gate with, fees and how to manage that. Do you staff it 24/7? Do you staff it part of the time? Could we do an automated toll system where people put their credit card in and we give all the residents, a pink card or whatever that, pops in and gives them the pass to go in free. So we explored some of that and we didn't come to a resolve that was feasible. So, So I want to get back to the question about what it would cost to improve the road, to pave it. Roy, do you have numbers on that? Are you looking for that? Okay, we're trying to find that.
30 million.
We need to set up a follow-up meeting with everyone where we actually sit in a circle. It's not only about questions, but it's actually about collaborating and coming to a conclusion that we all agree to, rather than it being this heavy-handed approach of telling us what's going to happen, rather than asking us what ideas we have to help the situation and help address the mayor's concerns. So can we have that opportunity?
Sure. I think at this point, Councilwoman, is that we have to follow the law. We have a designated exactly what we said today. Anything else, like, you got some suggestions that I'm looking at now, the parking lot, the dust that she mentioned in her area. We can look at his proposal about donating some land. So all of those things, but as far as clearing that particular area, in regards to July 1st, that particular has to be cleared. Right, so the officers, along with the prosecutor's office, everybody involved, we have to follow the law. Anything else in regards to your suggestion about the shuttling and addressing the road, $100,000 for a two-lane road, I mean, $900,000 for a two-lane road.
You know, we are in a battle right now in regards to roads. And I think the councilwoman understands about the roads. You know, and we have to address that. So, you know, we have options of trying to fix that. But it comes down to revenue. So if that is, you're talking about, I didn't know it was like 1,000 people on a weekend or 500 because that's a lot. That's a lot. So, you know, we have to maybe look at how we can have the state to look at, because there's land down there from the state, we might have to revisit that as trying to look at a bigger parking lot, you know, but the dust and the oil and things like that, we have to address it. Because not only, she made a good point, it's not only about the visitors that we come. Harry Kim's, the mayor, really his philosophy is to make it a better place for all of us to live. So when she talks about that you guys living down in that area, the dust affecting your plants and things like that, we have to address that. I mean, it was important for me to be at this meeting to express that to the mayor so that we can address that, and we're going to try to do that. But as far as clearing that place out on July 1st, that has to stay. Anything else, in addition to that, we're going to do every means to try to look at some, we're going to meet. And looking at try to involve other people involved, we're going to look at that too. But I'm going to promise, this is not a promising session for the managing director, okay? I'm not promising you anything. I'm just saying that I'm open to a lot of the things that you guys have said. And that's what's going to be my message to the mayor tomorrow morning. Is that, you know, I heard a lot of passionate things today from the people of this community. And, you know, my wife lived in this community, you know, at Anturion Farm, right on the 9-mile marker, where that southern chicken or whatever that place was. We had a property there. And I had 10 acres on a Kalakai Boulevard. I lived in this community. My wife and I taught school at Pahoa High School, you know, for over 20 years. So I know this community pretty well. And I know how passionate you are, and we're going to try to address it the best that we can. And we're not trying to disrespect anybody. But like I mentioned before, when there was complaints, we had to address that on safety. And about the road, it becomes a safety issue. About the dust, that's a safety issue as well. So let me assure you that we're going to address those things, okay? But I really want to thank all of you for coming today. I mean, because we need to hear that. You know, not that we, you know, the only reason why we're here is because we had those concerns. You know, and all we want to do is we want to make sure that everybody is, everybody's not going to agree, okay? Not everybody's going to agree. But we're going to do the best for the community, best for the laws. Laws can be changed, right? It takes a long time, but laws can be changed too. Okay, so there is a process in that. Okay, there is a process. So, Talmadge, I think we got it at 7:30.
Okay, well, I know there's a few people who have additional questions, so, but Managing Director is saying to wrap this up, so why don't you just come up and ask everybody, all the county resource folks who are here, and state, Eric from Department of Health are going to be here,
to answer that, you know, we have to see what happens because we are looking at a shortage in the revenue and everything. So we have to look at that.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this meeting. Well, if I give it to you, then she's in the back. I told him.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Okay, and I do want to acknowledge.
I realize that this has been under discussion for a year, and things have to change. We all agree things have to change. But we need a solution that works for everyone. I mean, you heard from Mr. Barai that getting a special use permit, if the private property is made available, takes a minimum of 90 days. A minimum, trust me, it can take longer. And yet, we're holding fast to this July 1 date where we have had an illegal action on the side of the road for how many years, guys?
2 years.
Yeah, 2.5. 2.5 years? Okay, so it's been going on for quite some time. And it's nice if we can come up with a workable solution before we go crack down, because this is people's incomes. We gotta recognize that. This is Puna. We don't have a lot of money down here, and we don't want to send any families into poverty. But we also need to be sensitive to the local situation down there and how it's impacting the residents. All of these things. But this being the first full-on meeting like this, and it's almost May, and we have a deadline of July 1, that doesn't give these people enough time to resolve the issue in the manner that you're asking them to do, to go out and get the permits and all of that. So I'm sorry, there's just some disconnect here, and I really am happy that the community showed up to voice their concerns, and they need to be listened to. And we need a solution that works for everybody. Thank you.
You say there's not enough time. Yeah, this was a long time ago. Yeah. No enough time that what? We tell them, give them another year? I gotta drive through this another year? If it takes 2 years for them to get special permit, am I supposed to wait 2 years to get my right of way to go in and out from home in a safe manner?
I understand. 2 months be adequate?
Like I said before, my family was living there for generations. We come across this problem now. It's a problem for me, my family. Thinking about the generations I come from. I gotta deal with this as a new generation.
Are the roads going to be done by July 1st?
Okay? Enforce the law until it can be amended or changed. Enforce the law. Find another solution, but enforce the law. The law is the law. Okay? That's all I gotta say is the law is the law.
Maybe a short-term solution that could be worked out, and perhaps a long-term solution. I had this discussion with Talmadge last week. There is land down there that is the state's land, and it can be given to the county through executive order. It's a process that generally takes, what, about 2 years, yeah, to get that done. And that might be a long-term solution. But in the short term, I'm just asking that we consider a solution that works for you, that works for you. And I'm not saying 2 years down the road, I'm saying maybe an extra 2 months. If that's what it takes to work out a solution, it works for everybody.
Comes tomorrow will be more nice for me.
No, I agree. I agree for you. Yes, true.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap up this meeting. You guys, again, the county and state folks are gonna be here, you know, so come and visit with us, okay? And please sign in, take some of the fact sheet for contact information. Okay, thank you.
Can you give us a date when we can have this public?